But on the flip side, the good news has come in on the macro front. Inflation has eased in August to 6.8%, beating economists' estimates, but the reading is still above the RBI's tolerance band. Food inflation, though, has cooled off to single digits, while the industrial output accelerated 5.7%, which is above expectations. Latha is here with the fine print. Latha, tell us, are vegetables getting cheaper now?
Well, if you go by the inflation number, clearly the sting of food inflation is behind us. Actually, overall, you must note that the data is inflation lower than expected, industrial output better than expected. You can't ask for a better set of macroeconomic data. So very good for any market. Of course, there are other impulses. So just to come back to the inflation number at 7.08 poll, 6.83 looks like a dream number. It's 60 basis points lower than what it was in the previous month of July, and largely contributed to by food prices, food inflation now in single digits. Of course, it's still 9.94, almost at 10, but better than the 11.5%, which was in July. Largely contributed by vegetables, as you say. The vegetable CPI is still 26% higher than last year. But last July, it was 37% higher than the previous month. So tomatoes have contributed in a big way. But I'll tell you the negative in the food inflation, or in fact the entire picture, is that cereals are still very high. Cereals is 11% higher, 11.85 higher than what it was a year ago. That's very bad. And pulses. Usually you substitute vegetables and pulses, I mean, at least in India. 13.04% pulses inflation will still be something that could give sleepless nights. And both these are sticky items. You need a whole season for it to be corrected. Unlike vegetables, which are short duration crops, this you have to wait for the next kharif for some of the crops to come. So this is not going to be a very easy decision for the Reserve Bank. Let me just come to the other positive elements. Fuel and light is just about 4% plus. And the impact of the LPG cylinder cut price will be seen only in September, because it came in end August. Again, core inflation benign, 4.87 or thereabouts, so almost like last month. It's a little surprising. One expected it to come down to 4.8. It's like almost closer to 4.9, but that's not a big worry. All this will be positive for the Reserve Bank, but because cereals can be sticky and we still have worries of El Nino, low reservoir levels, and therefore potential of higher prices, continued higher cereal and pulses prices, I don't see the Reserve Bank relenting on liquidity. I mean, there's no question of a rate hike. It never was there. But, they will continue to keep liquidity tight. It doesn't look they're going to relent. Positive news coming from IIP at 5.7. Our poll was 5.2. And that makes, it's also kind of a 6-month high in terms of industrial output. So that's extremely positive in that you've got electricity at 8%. Already, power stocks are doing so well. And then you have, capital goods, not capital goods as much as infra goods coming in at close to 10%. So there is a lot of positives to take away. Consumer non-durables has come in at about 7.4%. That's largely because of a poor base. But all told, you have to say growth better than expected, inflation lower than expected. What more can markets ask?
Well, they can ask for US inflation later today also too.
Absolutely. All this, then it's water under the bridge if the US CPI comes with a ferocious number.
Yeah.
But the early indications
it should be
from the previous months is that hopefully it will behave itself.
But you still didn't tell us if our vegetables are going to be much cheaper from here on.
No, much. I am no soothsayer nor an agronomist. But I think the sting of tomatoes was out. I don't think vegetables is a complaint now.
So
but you try buying dals. Have you looked at the latest dal numbers? There's nothing less than 150 per kilo.
Okay.
200, I thought.
200 for tur dal.
So now,
and if you buy organic, I think he buys organic. Then it's 250.
And you can check out the prices on your new iPhone 15.
By the way, it's for 1.5 lakhs, I think, the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Yeah?
So.
Wow. I mean,
so why complain
which
of
kidney to
250
sell? All right, Latha, thanks a lot for joining in.
Thank you.
There's at least some cheer, right, on the inflation front, so good for the markets. But